Hello, everyone, and welcome to what I aim to be a series of videos documenting my experience as an Uber driver in Toronto. So, my name is Jordan, and I've been an Uber driver for about 11 months now. Today is July 1st, 2017, and I started Uber driving about August 2016. So I just wanted to be able to talk about my experience. I'm doing this video because as an Uber driver, I get a lot of the same questions asked to me on a daily basis. So I figured that I'd just put information out there. People can do with that what they will. Also, when I wanted to become an Uber driver, there was not a lot of information out there for Uber drivers in, Toronto and Canada. A lot of it was American based. So I hope to be able to give a little bit of context about my experience as a driver in Toronto and a little bit of the differences between Uber driving in Toronto and in the States. So my first video is going to be about how much money you can make. How much money have I made? The most amount of money that I've made in a week being an Uber driver. It has not been easy, but it is possible to make a lot of money if you put in the time. This is what every Uber driver will tell you. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the hours, and you have to have a little bit of luck too. Sometimes a little bit of that boost comes from, surge pricing, which negatively affects customers because it adds a surcharge to their fare, but it does mean that, you can add up a little bit quicker temporarily. So I just wanted to be able to start by saying that number one is that being an Uber driver is a fun job. It's so fun. I personally love driving, so that makes it that much more fun for me. I'm also very sociable, so it's a fun job for me. And during the school year, it's also just easy to just turn on the app whenever you want, turn it off, and there's no strings attached. There's no minimum wage, there's no maximum wage. That is, I guess, one of the key things that sets it apart from a lot of other jobs. That's what makes it, easy to make money fast in a short period of time. So, on average, I think the average of the average is between $20 to $25 an hour you get paid. Um, and I think out of that, it averages to about $22 an hour. 25 on a very, very good day or a very good week. But this is all also from my own personal experience. This can also vary from Uber driver to Uber driver. I drive in very specific times. It's very contextual. It depends on the time of day that you drive, the amount of hours that you drive. There's one time you can maybe make $45 in an hour, and another time the next hour you can make $9. But that can average out depending on how many hours you work. I also think that being an Uber driver is a lot more accountable, than a taxi for both the drivers and the passengers, because when it comes to, like, I get this question a lot, like, oh, how do you feel being a woman Uber driver? That's going to be another separate video. Personally, I feel safe. I think if I were to have any problems, it wouldn't be very hard to make a complaint on someone's account. I haven't really done that on many different instances, probably about like two out of a couple. I think I've done a couple of thousand trips by now. But you always have that link, to make a report if something, happens. Mind you, it's not all peachy. Also, as a woman, I do experience, some harassment in different forms or a lot of inappropriate questions I just have to, like, kind of deflect or, like, work my way out of. But I think it's just a lot more accountable. Also, if a passenger forgets something, this has happened to me a couple of times, you can contact your Uber driver. You can just send a text, send an email, or just call them directly if they're still online, and you can, schedule a time to meet up and return lost items. Whereas, in taxis, how many people actually take down a taxi number if you were to lose your cell phone or if you were to leave behind a laptop or something important that you really want to retrieve? That's just one example. because I mean I'm not here trying to bash taxis. It's just a question that I get a lot in terms of like safety. So I think this is a little bit more accountable because there's like a direct line of communication. I also think Uber as a company is great because they give us opportunities to provide feedback on how they can improve the platform for drivers. So one example of that is now Uber Pool, which is when you can get matched up with strangers going in the same direction as you. I'm gonna do another video talking about the different services Uber offers at another time, so stay tuned for that. But Uber Pool trips, if they weren't matched up, at the end of the week when you get paid, Uber will give you the difference and treat it like it was an Uber X trip, so you don't lose that 40% discount before it got matched up. At the same time, and a reason that I'm doing this video is because there are still a lot of differences between Uber in Toronto and Uber across America. The first difference is that Canada doesn't have Lyft, so there's literally no competition when it comes to tech-based ride-sharing apps. In America, you'll hear a lot of Uber drivers talk about how there are competitions kind of and incentives and promotions between the two. If there's drivers who drive with both Uber and Lyft, how they're kind of compete with each other during, I guess, prime times or surges so that people would want to drive on their platform as opposed to the other. But since there's no competition, it pretty much is just, you know, Uber. And our promotions look very different. We have promotions, but our promotions it's basically the one I just described earlier about the Uber Pool being changed to Uber X if the rider was unmatched. So that's what's counted as a promotion. So that can be, you know, in my highest week, I still got like $30 extra. Also, as I mentioned, I've been driving Uber for about a year now. One thing that I noticed that was, you know, present in Toronto last year that American Uber drivers talk about pretty regularly, that's pretty much gone now, are flat fees. So like flat rates where it's like a normal Friday night, but a game also got let out and maybe a concert also got let out. So there's going to be like a massive amount of people ordering Ubers from downtown. So, you know, for example, they would say if you drive between 7 p.m. and 2 a.m., we'll guarantee you $30 an hour. If you were to make $13 an hour, then they would just bump you up the difference to make $30. So that is gone. There's no more flat fee anymore. I haven't seen that since 2016, although Uber drivers in America talk about that regularly as one of the, you know, competitions between Uber and Lyft. But that's unfortunately gone. So both Canadian and American Uber platforms have surge pricing, and that's where there's a lot more demand for Uber cars on the road than there are Uber cars on the road in a specific part of the city at a specific time. It's usually pretty consistent during rush hour or after clubs, you know, overnight, but morning and evening rush hour, that's usually when it's the most consistent, and then it might pop up different parts of the day. So that's usually when you can get like a bonus or a bump to what you're already making. And surge pricing can really range from like 1.2 times what a person's paying in their fare to a lot higher than that. Like I've seen like a 4.6 times surge when it was like really pouring outside, and it's a little bit of a boost. So speaking about boost, there also is boost. I think in America that means that it's pretty much like surge, or they also call it prime time, where if you drive in a specific area, a specific time of day, then they'll, you know, give you a little bit more because you're in that certain neighborhood at that time. But Boost in Toronto is that same thing, but it's only for Uber Eats. I'm also going to do another video about Uber Eats. I did do a little bit of Uber Eats in this week, but I'll talk about that later. So another difference between Canada and America is that you can't cash out every day. You can hear some commercials, you know, I've heard in Buffalo, New York, that you can cash out between like 3 to 5 times a day. That does not happen in Toronto. I don't know if that happens anywhere in Canada. I'm only speaking about my experience as a Toronto Uber driver, but You get paid once a week, which is great. You know, it just means that you get out of it what you make from it. Um, you have to appreciate the experience for what it is. And if you put in a lot of hard work and a lot of time, then it will eventually pay off. And even sometimes when you are, you know, working just a couple hours, if you work during the right times, you can still make a lot in a little bit. So now the point of the whole video, I'm going to show you what um, I earned in my highest week. This happened to be my birthday week. I just really wanted to start off my new year with a bang. This is not indicative of what I make every week. And this was also a task that I had tried and failed for many months. I've been working at this since December, and it's July now, and I achieved this a couple weeks ago. So anyway, let's just get to it. This was what I earned in 1 week. 2,032.98. If you see, it says 3014 in promotions. That's what I was talking about when I said that the Uber pool trips get converted into UberX. So that was just, so I really earned $2,002 by myself, and then $30 was a bump up from pool to X conversion. So this chart is a visual representation of my daily earnings. So as you can see, from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, those were you know, the slower times of the week. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you know, just keeps going up from there, were like when I pulled in my highest amount. So at the bottom, you can see it says I did this in 80.5 hours in 191 trips. And as I said before, I did about, I did 13 out of 191 of those were Uber Eats deliveries. Maybe about 3 of those was Uber Assist, but the majority of those were Uber X, and a few were Uber Pool. Well, actually, a lot of them were Uber Pool. Just a lot of them were matched Uber Pools. The singular ones are the ones I see in promotions. But that's just what I earned on paper. That doesn't take into account any expenses, and I will get into a whole separate video when it comes to expenses. But just to get into the gist of it, this week that I earned that, I paid about, no, not about, again, I paid $140 in gas that week. And usually I can range between paying $140 and more than that. Also, it was my birthday week, and I had asked my friends at my birthday party if they wanted to bring a present to bring gas cards. So that really, really helped with my expenses, because again, I was driving 7 days a week, between 9 and 16 hours a day. The beginning of the week was when I was driving maybe 14 to 16 hours, and then, you know, the weekend, Friday and Saturday, I was driving about 9 to 10 or 9 to 12 hours. Sunday, I was driving 16 hours again, because that's the end of the work week, so I pretty much just started early and then just went until the work week ended. It ends at Monday at 4 a.m. So that's the Sunday night overnight, and I worked overnights anyway, so that was my long stretch. But that's just gas. And I have a Prius, so that's a very, very fuel efficient car. So if somebody has a car that's not as fuel efficient, then they'd be paying a lot more than that in gas. Again, it really depends on what times you work, and how many hours you put into the day, because sometimes you can get, you know, lucky and make what you make in 16 hours in 9 hours, which is a huge difference. But that's because it might be like surging, like terrible weather, raining all the time, plus rush hour. You really can't go anywhere in rush hours, so you're really just stuck in traffic. That's why I love the overnights. But you still have to put in a lot of hours, because if it's not surging, you have to put in a lot of grind. Again, it was time and luck. So this does not also take into account taxes. July 1st, 2017, as today, is the first day that um, carbonized sales tax, which is a tax that we pay in Ontario, will be added to the fares um, on the customer side. So unfortunately, that means another 13% for whatever the customer is paying. Yes, Americans, Ontario pays 13% tax. So that's so before July 1st. So even this amount that I received 2032, 13% of that is already has to go, had to be taken out of my own money to be put aside toward taxes. So now I know it sucks for the customers, but when it comes to the drivers, at least we were able to make 13% more. We're actually able to like keep whatever we got home, like whatever we're taking home after Uber's 25% cut. So it does add up. And then maintenance and expenses to your car. I only got my car just to do this. I got my car last year. I financed it and I've been paying it off driving Uber, which is exactly the tagline that caught me to do Uber driving. But then that can also be another a video for another day if you folks are interested in hearing why I started doing the job that I love now, which is Uber driving. But so because my car was new, there weren't that many expenses when it came to the first few months because it was a brand new car. Like my oil change and my first few maintenance things were covered. Um, but it hasn't even been a year yet, and I've already put 52,000 kilometers on my car. Um, and my first four maintenance checks were covered, not anymore. So that, adds up very quickly. The more kilometers you have, the more wear and tear is the more you have to start putting in maintenance, which you have to, do to keep your car in great working condition. Also, your car has to be within 7 years old to be licensed within Toronto, and within 9 years old if you're driving in the 905 regions. So like Mississauga, Brampton, Ajax, Hamilton, like the areas outside of Toronto. Hamilton's not really right outside of Toronto, but like the GTA, the Greater Toronto area. But ultimately, Uber is just a great and fast and reliable and flexible way to make money. You can set goals. You can work. You can say I'm gonna work 5 hours today. You can just say that you wanted to. You have 2 destination trips a day. So if you wanted to, if you live and work across the city, you can set up your address to just get customers on the way to that address. So it's pretty much like Uber pooling yourself. So if you do that 2 times a day, that can just pay for your gas every week. If you're not driving a hectic amount of hours, if you are, and you do this as a full-time job, um, it is different because you don't get benefits right now. You're an independent contractor, but it is still a great way to make money fast, minus expenses. Like that 2032 is it gets eaten up very quickly with gas, with car payments, with other expenses, with tax, um, and yeah. But ultimately, Uber is a great job. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I also have other jobs, but this is just what I'm trying to do to reach my goals. You can set an amount of hours that you want to work, or you can go for a certain number that you want to reach, week to week. So this is my very first video, and please let me know any more questions that you have in the comment section. I'm happy to try to get to as many as I can individually, or I can also make separate videos, which I'm going to do anyway, in regards to like different questions that I get asked a lot. So on the screen, I posted my referral code, which is Jordyn M. That's JORDYN, and then M188UE. That's my referral code. So if you are a rider and you want to, well, if you want to be an Uber rider, if you want to be a passenger, if you want to take Uber, then you can use my referral code if you haven't, if you're new to the app, and that can get you a free ride. And if you want to be an Uber driver, you can use that same referral code when you sign up, and that will let them know that it was me who referred you, and maybe a little bit of a bonus. I appreciate every little thing that comes my way. But let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to do uh, more shorter videos about other topics. This is just a longer video because it's my very first one, and I really wanted to like contextualize the things around my earnings. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to be your driver one day.